When she had said this, she went back and called her sister Mary and told her privately, "The teacher is here and is calling for you." And when she heard it, she got up quickly and went to him. Now Jesus had not come to the village, but was still at the place where Martha had met him. The Jews were there with her in the house, consoling her, and saw Mary get up quickly and go out. They followed her because they thought she was going to the tomb to weep there. When Mary came to where Jesus was and saw him, she knelt at his feet and said to him, "Lord, if you had been there when my brother died, he would not have died." When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who came with her also weeping, he was greatly disturbed in the spirit and deeply moved. He said, "Where have you laid him?" They said to him, "Lord, come and see." Jesus began to weep. So the Jews said, "See how he loved him?" But some of them said, "Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying?" The word of God for the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
The sanctuary was not as large as this one, but on that particular Sunday, it was full. People were sitting close together. And as the service began, the hymn and the creed, and everybody was familiar. And it looked like a very genteel crowd. And then suddenly at the back door, there appeared a man who did not look genteel. Ragged jeans, a tear in his shirt, hair long in need of a haircut. He didn't smell too badly. But he came into the sanctuary, ignoring anybody who was standing at the door, and slowly made his way down the aisle. It was obvious he was looking for a seat. And he peered first to one side and then to the other. And by then, anybody in the congregation who had observed him was shrinking, thinking, "Oh, I hope he doesn't sit next to me." And he got within about 3 pews of the very front and gave up on finding a seat. So he simply sat down on the floor at the end of the pew. Now, as you might imagine, the ushers and the greeters at the back were somewhat frantic. Call the police. I mean, that's the society we live in now, right? Or something else. Maybe we should get a group together and usher him out. But the head usher greeter didn't partake of the conversation, and pretty soon he turned away and stood at the back of the aisle and looked at the scene before him, and then he too slowly moved down the aisle. And it was not only very quiet in the congregation, but it was very quiet among the ushers and greeters who were standing at the back. And he moved slowly down to where the man was sitting on the floor by the third pew. And he sat down on the floor next to the man.
Amen.
Catherine has introduced to you the idea of call to ministry. In all the places I've been, we've talked about that. She's heard me talk about it on many times, many occasions. And people in the congregation have the same general response when preachers begin to talk about the call to ministry. They say, "Oh yes, preacher, I'm so glad you were called to ministry." And Catherine and I have long agreed that that didn't finish the thought. And so she is preaching a series of sermons on call to ministry. And this morning's sermon topic is the call to ministry of presence. What happened? You took a vow. You said before the congregation that you would be a part of it, you would support the congregation, you would support the ministries and work of the church. And every year about this time, the preacher begins to say, will you be the chair of this committee? Will you serve on that committee? Will you be a part of this work area? Will you take responsibility for that? You want to scare your pastor to death? I'll do that. I noticed in the bulletin where the lay leadership training for this district is taking place this afternoon at University Park Church. University Park is where Ginger and I have our membership, and we worship there regularly. It's a little bit of a drive from here, but not too bad. And the weather's beautiful, so you won't have any trouble because there will be fewer people out on Sunday. And the leadership training will be done by those who have said, oh, I'll help with the leadership training in that district, and they will. And you may have heard some of what they will say before, but you will also hear something new, because there's a new idea. There's a new way of doing something. There's a new concept or understanding. And you come away, and I'm saying this in the faith that my colleagues will do that, you come away with some new understanding of something that needs to happen in your local church, or needs to happen in the district or the conference or the church at large around the world. Now, I'm here this morning not only thanking individuals for help with the moving, but to say to you, I'm now a semi-expert on the State Highway Department and the City of Dallas street maintenance for how they're working with the streets. They're closing them. Interstate 30 was closed off at the intersection with the turnpike this morning. Yesterday, as I drove to Wichita Falls, the highway leading past the old Dallas Cowboy Stadium was completely clogged, all down to one lane in one direction and very poorly marked. And lo and behold, coming home in an attempt to avoid that, I stopped in Denton to buy gas, and Denton's got construction on their streets. Now, I know that most of you came in an automobile this morning, and you want streets to be wonderfully wide, 6 lanes preferably, and nobody else on them, so you can get where you're going in a hurry. But it doesn't work that way. And there you are, stuck in the traffic or on an unfamiliar street. And what bugs me the worst is that streets I've known all my life have been renamed by the city. And sometimes things in the church get confused by all of that. And there will be calls to the church about someone in the hospital, and calls about someone who's had an accident, and calls about a new birth in the church, or calls about the fact that somebody has died. And suddenly your pastor is torn in 3 or 4 or 5 directions, and she can't be in all those places at once. And so she says to one of you, will you go to such and such a hospital and check on Mrs. Smith? And your response, what will I say? And because Catherine and I have talked about this on more than one occasion, she will say you don't have to say anything. My trip to Wichita Falls yesterday was for the memorial service of a 50-year colleague and friend. We shared a lot of funny times together. We shared concerns. He has 4 children, and I feel like I've helped rear them. I can't count the number of grandchildren and great-grandchildren he has. And the sanctuary at Floral Heights Church in Wichita Falls was full. And we celebrated the life of Merwin Turner. Merwin and I have known each other for many, many years. We've served adjacent churches. We've served churches at distances from one another. But we never saw each other, but what we could greet each other by name and share the stories of ministry with them. And it set me to thinking again, as I had been thinking for over a week, of the vow we all took to be members of a church. Most of you stood at the altar of a church, if not this one, and you made a promise. And the pastor said to the entire congregation, after you had responded, will you accept this person as one of us? A Christian, a church member, a fellow servant of God. And if you weren't already asleep, you nodded. Well, what's going on in all of this is what we call presence. It's a ministry. Ministry of presence. And I sat in the congregation yesterday and looked at several of the former pastors of Floral Heights Church and several others of my colleagues. And I thought, as I watched the people in that church renew acquaintanceships, oh, there's David. Oh, there's Kenny. Oh, there's... And then they went ahead to tell the rest of the story. There didn't a single one of the people in that congregation say, oh, I remember the sermon you preached at such and such a place. What they said was, I remember when you came when my mother died. I remember when you came when my husband was ill in the hospital. And they don't remember anything you said, but they remember you were there. That's a ministry. And all of us are called to that ministry of presence. So the proper answer to the question is, what do I say? Is you don't have to say anything. You go and put your hand on their arm, or your arm about their shoulder. You share a tissue when there is a tear. And you sit or stand with them. And if you know them well, you probably embrace, because that's a way we greet our friends and fellow Christians. It's your presence. And the presence is remembered. And all of those people in that worship service yesterday had experienced Merwin Turner in that way. He was there. He was there because there was a death or an accident or a new child or some other trauma. So the call to the ministry of presence is upon you. John Donne once wrote a poem, "Never sin to know for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for you." Never ask the question, what do I say? You don't have to say anything. But your presence is required in the name of Jesus Christ, because you've made that promise to your community of faith and to God. And all of us anticipate you will keep your word and your promise in both instances. So the ministry of presence is here for you. And the world waits for your presence to come. And there's no need to ask a question. There is a great need for you to go. The call to the ministry of presence belongs to us all. So be it. In the name of God, the Christ, and the Spirit.
Amen.
Amen.